All right, today's two homework will be section 3. It says if the shaded portion of the figure was multiplied by 2.5, what would be the result? So the shaded portion of this figure is 2/3. So that's going to be 2/3 times 2.5. So the first thing I like to do when multiplying fractions is to have both of them alike. So I'm going to turn this one into an improper fraction. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 to get 4. Then I'm going to add 1, and that gives me 5. So my fraction over here is going to be 5/2. And then 2 times 2/3. So 2 times 5 is 10. Oh, can't do that. Let me do it over here. 2/3 times 5/2. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 2 is 6. So I have 10/6, which is an improper fraction. So I'll turn it into a mixed number by dividing 6 by 10. And I know I can get one group of 6 out of 10 because 6 is very close to 10. So I could only get one whole group. If I did 2 groups, it would go over. So that would be 12. So that would be too big. So if I do one group and then that what's left over from the 10, if I take 6 out, would be 4. So that gives me 1 and 4, 6, but 4, 6 is, I can simplify that because I know that both 4 and 6 are even numbers, so they both can be divided by 2. So if I divide both of these by 2, I'm going to get 1 and 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So it'll give me 1 and 2/3 for my final answer. Okay. Number 2 says write the first 3 terms of the sequence. So I'm trying to figure out the rule, or they give me the rule, so I just have to figure out the next digit. So write the first 3 terms of the sequence. So I need to start at 5.5 and then add 1.5. So the first one is 5.5. No, start at 5.5, add 1.5. So let me do that. So 5.5 5 and 1/2 plus 1 and 1/2. So I can go ahead and add those halves because they both have the same denominator. And I know a 1/2 and a 1/2 is going to give me a whole. So I basically have 1 whole. Then I could do 5 plus 1, which will give me 6. So basically I have 6 plus 1, which is 7. So my first one is 7. So the rule is add 1.5. So 7 plus 1.5 will give me 8.5. Then 8.5 plus 1.5 will give me, well, this 1/2 and 1/2. I can go ahead and add those together to give me 1 whole. So then I have the 8 plus the 8. I can add that together to get 9. So 9 plus 1 is 10. So my last term would be 10 in this sequence. And the last problem, I am adding two fractions that don't have the same denominator. So I have to first find a common denominator. So let me erase this. All right, so if I have the same, if I need to make this the same denominator, I have to find a common denominator for 4 and 8, and I know it's going to be 8 because that's the first common denominator I will have, first common multiple I'll have for 4 and 8. So it's going to be 8. I need to have 8 as my denominator for this one. So I need to multiply 4 by 2 to get 8. So I need to do the top by 2 as well. And that's going to give me 6. And then this one is already 8. So that means I'm not changing my fraction over here. It's still going to be 3/8. So now I can add 6 plus 8. And that's going to give me 9. Then 8 plus, I don't add 8. That stays the same. My denominator stays the same. So now I have an improper fraction, 9/8, so I can go ahead and divide that. I can do that in my head. I know I can get one group of 8 out of 9. Then I'll have 1 left over. So that's going to give me 1 1/8. And if you needed to divide that, you could just by doing 9 divided by 8. 8 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. I subtract, I get 1. So I have a remainder of 1. So if I rewrite that, it's going to be, this is my whole number, this is my numerator, and this is my denominator. So 1 1/8. And that is it for Tuesday night's homework. That was section 3.